What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix and welcome to 101 RuneLite tips and tricks. This is a long video, so let's get right into it. By default, there's a plugin on RuneLite called Grand Exchange. If you go to the plugin settings and change the search mode to fuzzy, you can search for items in short form. For example, you can type Sara for Saradomin, or Bofa is another one. While training agility, it's pretty common to watch a video or movie while you train. Well, this screen setup is a way to train agility while keeping your eyes on the movie you're watching. You need the 117 HD plugin, and you turn the contrast to 500%, then the brightness to 1, then you turn off all lighting and change the sky to the default black. Then you go into the default RuneLite plugin settings and change the window opacity to 20%. To train your prayer really quickly, you can set up your window to left click and press the hotkey for your inventory repeatedly. To do this, you hold Alt and drag your inventory over the altar on resizable modern mode. Then you set the left click option for the bones to use using the menu entry swapper plugin. On the RuneLite plugin hub, there's a plugin called Action Progress. With this turned on, you can see how long a processing action is going to take. Back in RuneScape 2 and currently in RuneScape 3, you might remember when using a bank that items instantly move rather than waiting for the next game tick. Well, there's a plugin called Instant Inventory which brings this functionality to old school. It can be useful for knowing whether you actually deposited or dropped an item rather than having to wait for the next game tick. By default on RuneLite, there's a plugin called Chat Commands. With this plugin active, Control Backspace will clear your typed message, and Control W will clear a single word. With the default World Hopper plugin, you can press Control Shift left and Control Shift right to go back or forward a world. You can also type ;hop and then a world to hop to, which can be useful for activities like shooting stars. On the plugin hub, you can install a plugin called Pickpocket Guardian. This plugin stops you from pickpocketing when you're below a certain hit points threshold. Extremely useful for hardcore Ironmen. Now, we all know that RuneScape is our go-to adventure, but if you're itching for a new quest, consider trying this free-to-play game. With more than 80 million downloads, this game has stunning graphics, strategic gameplay, and over 800 unique champions. I'm talking about Raid Shadow Legends, and for the next few months, you can partake in an extraordinary crossover between Raid and Monster Hunter. From January 9th through to March 5th, players can partake in the event, collecting 5 Monster Hunter themed legendary champions. Also, anyone can obtain the Rathalos Blademaster legendary champion by logging into Raid for 7 days anytime from now until February 27th. You can get the other 4 Monster Hunter themed champions through in-game events, so check in-game to see how you can get those. So get this crossover now. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to download Raid. In other news, Raid added the Cursed City last month, which has proven to be very rewarding but challenging content. There's 100 stages to complete, with stages where you have to defeat multiple bosses at once. If you use my link to download Raid, you get huge bonuses for your account, like silver, XP brews, and chicken. Also, once you're in game, old and new players can use the promo code RAIDXmas for some extra rewards. Once you're in, you can add me as a friend under the name Theoatrix OSRS, and you should join my clan by typing Theoatrix into the clan menu. So click the link in the description or scan the QR code and I'll see you out on the battlefield. Thanks to Raid for sponsoring this video. Alright, let's get back to the 101 RuneLite tips and tricks. Bank tags are an extremely useful default RuneLite function, but there's a number of bank tag plugins to make them even more useful. You can right-click your deposit inventory or equipment button to add a bank tag to all of the items. With bank tag layouts, you can right-click the bank tag and enable layout to automatically sort your tab. Bank equipment stat filter lets you filter items by attack style and slot to see what your best items are. The default attack styles plugin has a few notable features. You can remove attack styles from the menu. For example, you could remove the defensive style if you're on a pure account. There's also an option to hide auto retaliate, so that way if you're on a level 3 skiller, you can ensure that you don't accidentally turn it on and fight something. While training combat AFK, it can be tricky to know when the monsters are going to lose aggression. Well, there's a plugin called NPC Aggression Timer, and this lets you know when you need to reset. This is useful on Slayer tasks or at crabs. Next, I have two useful Wilderness plugins. Wilderness Player Alarms is on the plugin hub, and this flashes your screen when a player enters your area. There's also the Wilderness Lines plugin, which tells you where multi-combat areas are, as well as the level 20 and 30 Wilderness Lines. Dude Where's My Stuff is a great plugin for Ultimate Iron Man, which shows what you have in death storage as well as how much money you have in coffers. If you're new to PKing or bossing, you might be struggling with combo eating and potions. Well, there's a plugin called Consumable Cooldown, which tells you how many game ticks until you can consume the next piece of food or potion. The Clue Juggling Timer plugin displays a countdown when you drop a clue scroll on the ground, so that you know when to reset the timer. By default on RuneLite, there's a plugin called Interact Highlight. With this on, objects and NPCs that you hover over will get an outline. In the plugin hub, you can find Video Recorder, which does exactly what the name suggests. You can set hotkeys to start and stop recording, and the files are automatically saved to your RuneLite folder. There's a plugin called Discord Rare Drop Notificator, which you can set up to send a Discord message when you receive a rare drop. It can also include a screenshot. In the Bank plugin, which is installed on RuneLite by default, I strongly suggest turning on Keyboard Bank Pin. This lets you type your bank pin instead of the annoying click menu. Another default plugin is Screenshot, which automatically takes a screenshot when certain things happen in-game. By default, only some of the scenarios are selected, but you can set automatic screenshots for things like boss kills, valuable drops, and deaths. In the plugin hub, you can install Unpotted Reminder, which does what the title suggests. It displays a colored box when you need to resip a boost potion. There's a plugin called Tick Tracker, which is useful for finding which worlds are reliable. It tracks the timing variance on game ticks, so you can see if any worlds are unstable. On the plugin hub, a plugin called NMZ Optimal Points can aid you in getting the maximum points per hour in the Nightmare Zone. The plugin highlights the monster that gives the most points, so you can target the high point ones, then use power-ups to get rid of the low point monsters. If you're playing old school on a computer with poor performance, there's a number of plugins that can improve your gameplay. There's one called Low Detail, which removes extra object detail and textures. There's FPS Control, where you can lower the frame rate, and there's area-specific plugins like Prifdinus, Fossil Island, and Low Detail Chambers, which improve the performance in those specific areas. The Model Exporter plugin is a must for animators. It lets you use RuneScape in-game models in 3D programs like Blender. If you've seen my last few videos, they all have animations which used the Model Exporter plugin. If you miss old school as it was on release, then you can install a plugin called No New Items, which highlights items that weren't in the 2007 version of RuneScape. There's a default plugin called Player Indicators, which is useful for wilderness content. You can turn on highlights for other players in the wilderness, and you can set names to show up on your minimap. On RuneLite, there's three main graphic settings that you can set. There's default RuneScape, there's GPU mode, and there's 117HD. GPU mode smooths the edges, and 117HD brings back graphics similar to as they were in 2008. The Radius Markers plugin makes Akka a breeze in the Tombs of a Masket. If you copy the settings that I have in the description, then paste them into your Radius Markers plugin, it will tell you exactly what attack style Akka is using, which makes the whole fight 10 times easier. Within the tombs, it's useful to know the enemy's health as a percentage to know when certain specials are going to happen. You should install the Monster HP Percentage plugin to easily see the percent. A plugin automatically installed on RuneLite, but is turned off by default, is a plugin called Roof Removal. It can selectively hide roofs, where hovering your mouse over a house removes the roof. On GPU mode and 117HD, you can extend the render distance. This allows you to click directly to altars, letting you train runecrafting more relaxed. This can be done at the Astral altar on Lunar Isle, and also at the Urania altar. A default plugin called Friends Notes is a neat way to keep track of things like loans or splits with people on your friends list. Before you get your Slayer helmet, you might find that you forget your enchanted gem to check how many monsters you have left. Well, you can use the default Slayer plugin to store your task information. Another default plugin, which is called Instance Map, is a useful plugin for navigating through quest dungeons and used to be popular with scouting within the chambers of Xeric. There's a plugin on the plugin hub called Banked Experience, which shows you what level you'll gain from the supplies that you have in your bank. It includes most skilling methods and materials, and it's particularly useful for Iron Men. When training thieving, you can set up your client so that you don't have to move the mouse at all. With the Inventory Viewer plugin, you can see how many coin pouches you have, while your inventory is minimized. Then you can press the hotkey to open your inventory, which you can line up with the NPC you're stealing from. By default, there's a plugin on RuneLite called Item Identification. This overlays text on items that are hard to identify without right-clicking, so this is really useful with herbs and herb seeds. A useful plugin for the Chambers of Xeric is Crab Stun Timers. Knowing when the crabs will unstun is a game changer for this puzzle. Having highlighted tiles is one of the best features of RuneLite, which you can activate with the Tile Indicators and Ground Markers plugin. But on the plugin hub, you can install a plugin called Tile Packs, which comes with a huge range of tile marker configurations. If you're learning bosses or raids, this plugin is a must. There's also a website called runemarkers.net, which includes a range of other useful tile marker configurations. There's setups for gem mining, sepulchre, sand crabs, and more. The Bank Heatmap plugin overlays colors on the items in your bank depending on their value or high alch value. This is useful when looking at loot tabs. The default cannon plugin comes with the option to show double hit cannon spots, which is the tiles the monster needs to stand on for the cannon to hit twice per rotation. Pairing the cannon plugin with NPC indicators lets you see exactly which tile the monster is standing on. The NPC indicators plugin is also very useful for the Inferno. The default chat channels plugin comes with a number of options. You can show a message when someone joins or leaves the chat, or you can set a kick confirmation screen before kicking players. The chat color plugin lets you customize each type of message that you might receive in-game. You can separately change the color of incoming and outgoing chat messages, plus you can change the color of server messages. With RuneLite, you can change the feel of it to anything you want. You can use the custom cursor plugin to bring back some of the nostalgic cursors, or the login screen plugin lets you change the background of the login screen, and the interface styles plugin lets you use the old design interfaces. On the plugin hub, you can install resource packs, which is similar to the interface styles plugin but has more options. You can completely change the look of your game client with resource packs, and there's countless options to choose from. The Entity Hider plugin can remove certain objects and characters from your game client. This is super useful in populated areas, like at the Wintertodt, Star Mining, or at Guardians of the Rift. Menu Entry Swapper is a very popular plugin. It's particularly useful with thieving and changing the pickpocket option to left click, or you can use it to buy 50 items with your left click at shops. When completing the Rogue Trader mini-quest after the feud, the Rundoku plugin on the plugin hub will make the puzzle much faster. With the Logout Timer default plugin, you can set the time before you log out to up to 25 minutes. This is a big increase from the usual 5 minutes, and it allows you to AFK content for even longer, like at shooting stars. Using the default minimap plugin, you can toggle zooming on your minimap, so when you scroll while hovering over the minimap, it can zoom out or in, which can be very useful when traveling. Mouse Tooltips is a plugin that shows an overlay of what you're about to click on, which is useful at places like the Blast Furnace to know where you're clicking. When you're teaming up, you can use the Party plugin paired with Hub Party Panel from the plugin hub to have a live view of your team's inventory, stats, and gear. By default on RuneLite, there's a plugin called XP Updater. By turning this on and selecting the XP tracking service you're using, it will automatically update your stats on these external trackers. When you're doing forestry, you should go through the default woodcutting RuneLite plugin to ensure you have all of the helpers active. They've added helpers for every forestry event. There's a plugin called Not Empty on the plugin hub, and this removes the empty option from all potions. There's another plugin called Alch Blocker, which hides certain items that you set, which can stop you from alching potions or valuables. On the World Select menu to the right, if you right-click the top bar, there's an option to refresh worlds, which refreshes both the player count and the ping for every world. In the plugin just called RuneLite, you can turn on Always on Top. This is great for playing while you use your computer for other things. You can have your RuneLite in the corner, and clicking on other windows won't hide your game. I've recently added new mousepad designs to my merch store. You can get 30% off any mousepad using the code RuneLite. You can turn on the default status bars plugin, which shows your health and prayer as a bar on the sides of your game menu interface. The default special attack counter plugin is a must for bosses like Corp. It displays counters for the Warhammer, Arclight, BGS, and more. In the default run energy plugin, there's an option to replace the run orb with the amount of run time you have left, shown in seconds. Another default plugin called Regeneration Meter shows when your hit points and special attack will next regenerate. While PKing, and especially in LMS, the PvP Performance Tracker plugin will show some interesting statistics about your fight, like how many correct protection prayers were used and who dealt the most damage. If you're new to the fight caves, I highly recommend the Fight Cave Spawn Predictor plugin. It shows you what monsters are spawning next, as well as where they're going to spawn. When you're going for the Rogue's outfit, the Rogue's Den plugin makes it 10 times easier, with tile markers and object highlights showing you exactly what to do. As a new player to Old School, the Shortest Path plugin will help you a lot. This is found on the plugin hub, and it lets you set a target on your world map, then tells you how to get there. The Better Teleport menu plugin lets you customize the hotkeys for each teleport, and also hides teleport locations that you haven't unlocked yet. A neat banking plugin is Recently Banked Items. When you accidentally deposit everything, or if you misclick an item, you can right-click the bank settings and view the recently banked items. The Teleport Maps plugin creates a nice teleporting interface for spirit trees as well as magic mush trees on Fossil Island. The Decimal Prices plugin allows you to use decimals within numbers, so you could type 2.3M or 1.53K. The Guardians of the Rift Helper plugin makes it easier to see which altars are active, and includes a range of quality of life improvements. Another useful skilling plugin is Temporos, which highlights important things while fighting the boss, like it tells you when the wave is coming and it highlights the double fish spots. The Tombs of Amasket plugin makes the puzzle rooms a lot easier. For example, in the Kefri puzzle room, it instantly shows you the solutions. You can use the Bird Run Alert plugin to notify yourself when it's time to do a birdhouse run. For useful information when raising a cat, you can install the Kitten Tracker plugin. It alerts you when you need to feed your kitten and shows useful timers. When bossing, you can use the Thrall Helper plugin to remind you that you need to use a thrall. If you're wondering what gear a player is wearing, you can install Equipment Inspector and right-click a player to see what items they are. The Loot Lookup plugin on the plugin hub allows you to see what a monster drops directly in the RuneLite client. There's a plugin called Wasted Bank Space, which displays a little warning symbol next to items that can be stored elsewhere, saving bank space. The Barrows Door Highlighter plugin instantly shows the usable doors within the Barrows dungeon. This saves you right-clicking to find the right doors. You can install the RuneWatch plugin on the plugin hub to highlight players that are on RuneWatch or on the We Do Raids watch list. The Supplies Tracker plugin shows you how many potions and food you've consumed in your session, which is great for knowing how much money you're spending while bossing or raiding. Within the Chambers of Xeric, you can customize the loot beams with the Cox Light Colors plugin. There's also the Salve Amulet Checker plugin, which reminds you to wear your Salve Amulet in the Mystics room. The Large Logout plugin makes your logout button huge, which is handy for when you're in the wilderness or on a PvP world. Bank XP Value is a plugin similar to Banked Experience, where it shows the total experience you could gain from the resources in your bank. In the default Nightmare Zone plugin, you can turn on notifications for certain events, like when your overloads run out or when certain power-ups appear, like Power Surge. The Bossing Info plugin is a great way to track your times and your GP per hour when bossing. There's a plugin called DPS Calculator which can grab your current gear setup and calculates the damage per second against any monster. This saves you manually entering items into an online DPS calculator. The Last Seen Online plugin is a way to show you when your friends were last seen playing RuneScape. To view the time, you just hover over their name on your friends list. A useful plugin for training woodcutting is one called Tree Count. It displays the number of players currently chopping each tree, and since you get up to a +10 boost when cutting with other players, you can easily see which tree will give the boost. If you're a live streamer going into the wilderness, you definitely need the World Hider plugin. It makes it almost impossible to find out which world you're on. There's a plugin called TOA Missing Pickaxe Indicator, which reminds you when you haven't stored a pickaxe for the Akka puzzle room. Time to Level is a great plugin for tracking how long it's going to take to level up. It shows all of the efficient training methods, and you can fully customize it to include your own methods. With the Random Event Hider plugin, you can disable certain random events, so that way you can only show events that give experience. If you've been going for blood shards, you should install the Blood Shard Notifier plugin. It plays a sound when you receive a blood shard drop. You can install customizable XP drops to see what you're going to hit before you actually hit, calculated from your XP drop. And lastly, the Patch Payment plugin saves time when finding the payments for protection. You can just right-click a seed or sapling to see the items required. Anyways, that was 101 RuneLite tips and tricks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more old school content. Be sure to click the link in the description to install Raid Shadow Legends and come join my clan to play with me. Thanks for watching.